Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. The parking meters in Elmira are in for a makeover. Our Maggie Hall spoke to the Elmira city manager and a business owner about what this means for the city.
This is a parking meter in the city of Elmira. Now, when I go to pay for my parking, the machine won't accept my payment. Now, over half of the parking meters in Elmira are broken.
So currently we have many meters within the city that are not working. And the one reason why they're not working is because of the coins.
Well, they haven't worked in such a long deal of time that people have become accustomed to it just kind of being free parking whenever you need to go there.
A change is coming.
In the future, it will only accept credit cards as well as an app that you can download.
We have kind of an impoverished area, so adding an extra charge on just something that should be nice, come downtown, leave, it just adds an extra tax to everything. So
I think people need to remember that, it is a form of revenue for the city of Elmira. Our parking isn't expensive, but it is a form of revenue. It is a tool or a device that brings money in where it doesn't go back on the taxpayers.
Andrew's concern is that this new system will send customers to bigger corporations instead of supporting local and small businesses.
it will just make it a lot harder to choose small and local over any other big box store. I mean, we can't compete with free parking that might be available up in Big Flats for stores that do relatively the same thing.
It's expected that the new system will be installed by this summer. Big Fox News will keep you updated on this issue. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Elmira.
Corning has cabin fever. The wine, spirit, and craft beer sampling event is back in the Southern Tier.
We are having our first cabin fever in 3 years. It's back by popular demand. It's happening on Friday, February 24th, beginning at 5 o'clock. You can get your tickets online in advance. We'll have no cash sales at check-in. Folks will be able to scan a QR code and buy a ticket if they decide at the last minute they want to enjoy the evening.
Over 30 breweries, wineries, and distilleries will be represented at the event. To buy your tickets, go to gafferdistrict.com. The Village of Montour Falls and Waverly will each receive $4.5 million in funding for the revitalization of their downtowns. The governor visited the towns yesterday to award them the money. The grants are part of the New York Forward program to accelerate and revitalize smaller downtowns. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, many people have found remote jobs that allow them to work at home. But as Josh Feldberg reports, a new co-working office space has opened in downtown Elmira, giving these workers another option.
Elmira Works is a brand new co-working space that opened its doors for the first time this week.
A co-working space is sort of like a business where maybe not everyone there is a co-worker exactly. Sure, you might have a small business with 2 or 3 employees working in a co-working space, but you might be working with other folks who work on completely different businesses or in completely different sectors.
Elmira Works is located in Clemens Square. The co-working office space provides a place for people to come work and avoid the distractions of home.
Maybe you have some construction going on at home and you want to get out of the house because it's distracting. Maybe you have kids at home that are distracting and you want to get out and do some serious work. Or maybe you live in an apartment downtown and your apartment is too small and you feel cramped and you just want to get out of the house and have a little bit more room in a space that's intentioned for work.
The office is filled with lounge areas, private desks, community desks, a conference room, private call booths, and a kitchen area.
I'd been working in co-working spaces while I was living in the city, and I wanted to bring that home with me.
Elmira Works offers daily and monthly membership fees that grants you access to the office space and all the amenities that come with it.
There's this social aspect that's fundamental to a co-working space. It's for people who, yes, they want to get their work done, but they also want to have that experience where you're at the water cooler and you're talking with people and you're talking about things that are going on in the community or those sorts of things.
If you're interested in finding a new office space to work in, more information about Elmira Works is available on their website. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Elmira.
Buckle up. 2 Pennsylvania lawmakers are pushing for a new bill to lower the legal driving age to 15. They say the change would allow younger teens to be able to get to jobs. The new drivers would still have to fulfill all the state's training requirements and would have to follow the rules of having a junior license. The lawmakers hope to propose the bill as soon as possible. Looking for some new clothes for cheap? The Arnott Auxiliary Thrift Shop will be open for their famous Big Bag Sale on Thursday, March 2nd and 3rd. You can bring your own bag of any size, fill it to the brim with clothing for only $3. The thrift shop is located at 619 Hart Street in Elmira. Former Vice President Jimmy Carter is now receiving hospice care at home with his family by his side. People across the country are now reflecting on what led the 39th president to the White House. Madeline Rivera has more.
While former President Jimmy Carter served only 1 term in office, his legacy extends beyond Washington.
He is for the people, and he was about peace.
Former President Jimmy Carter's road to the White House looked different than most. He's the only president to have graduated from the Naval Academy, going on to serve for several years. As a 28-year-old naval officer, he led a team of military personnel in cleaning up after the world's first nuclear reactor meltdown. The men worked in 90-second shifts to limit radiation exposure. In a ceremony last week, the Academy renamed its engineering building Carter Hall in his honor. His decision to enter hospice care now bringing an influx of visitors to his hometown of Plains, Georgia, to learn about his legacy. The Carter name is all over the town of about 500 people. Railroad tracks run by his 1976 presidential headquarters, where he began his campaign as a Washington outsider with the help of his neighbors.
It's the people here that banded together. They formed the Peanut Brigade. They went out, they knocked on doors, they went up to New Hampshire.
Carter supporters say it's clear how his humble beginnings played a role in his presidency and life after Washington.
He couldn't play the political game as well as everybody else could, but he cared about people, and you can see how important that is.
Residents of Carter's hometown say it's now up to them to carry on his legacy. In Plains, Georgia, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
There's just under a year to go before the first ballots will be cast in either the Republican or Democratic presidential primaries. The field is still small, but the names of those officially in and those tiptoeing around an announcement are growing. Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more.
The race for the White House is on, with some officially in and others testing the waters. In Iowa, Senator Tim Scott is doing everything except announcing a run.
We need new leaders who will lift us up, not tear us down.
Thank you. After officially launching her campaign, Republican Nikki Haley has traveled to 3 early voting states, Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. Republican entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy also jumped in, and former President Trump rallied with his supporters in East Palestine today, the Ohio town dealing with the aftermath of a toxic train crash.
Have a good time, everybody.
For Democrats, the field is still empty. Self-help author Marianne Williamson has teased a major announcement next weekend, but there are others waiting in the wings if the incumbent decides not to run. However, President Biden still has not said what he'll do.
He's focused on business. He's focused on the economy. He's not focused on running. And we're ready to run with Joe Biden.
And there may be a strategy for why the president has not announced yet.
The longer he is seen as president and the shorter the period of time he's seen as a candidate, the shorter the period of his vulnerability and the greater the opportunity to build a strong base before he becomes yet another politician.
According to an NPR Marist poll, President Biden's approval rating among adults is at its highest in almost a year. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Your complete forecast is still ahead. Plus, subscription burnout? Do we have too many services now? Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Much of that snowfall that we got at onset of the system quickly melted away. One with seeing that we had that transition over to rain showers. Also, though, saw temperatures even climb and hit the 50s in Elmira, with even a little peak of sunshine there seen in Binghamton just before sunset. But a frontal system was swinging on through, bringing some showers with it. And looking at precipitation, note that for our Wednesday, we did get upwards of a ½ inch to 0.6 of an inch. Now, some of that was the liquid ratio to that inch of snowfall. Then we had about a ½ of an inch or a little more of rainfall to add in on that. And then we had a little few hundredths of an inch of rainfall as that frontal system continues to push its way through with some light showers. Now, note that that frontal system is now ushering in the cooler air. It's going to be a bit blustery through the overnight as well, getting that west-northwesterly wind upwards of even 40 miles per hour. So you may hear that wind howl through the overnight. And then that Friday morning commute is going to be a little gusty. So make sure any loose objects are secured. Hang on to that ball cap and bundle up, because with the northwesterly wind and it's strong, it's going to create a bit of a chill as we'll watch that those temperatures are falling into the 20s, and we have colder mornings ahead. So pull out those winter layers and keep them handy at least for the next few days. We'll also note that as we head into Friday with that west-northwesterly wind, there will be the potential that we'll have some lake effect snow showers, being able to shake a few of those out as we head into at least about the mid-morning. Pretty minimal moisture availability there, but we'll mention a flake or two, and then we'll try to see a little bit of sunshine there as we head into our Friday afternoon, with another returning wave that could bring us some light snow showers, maybe even an area of rain showers on Saturday, depending on temperatures. But temperature-wise, it is definitely going to be a struggle to be above average, as we have been there much of this winter. This weekend going to be a little bit of a change-up. Friday, with that west-northwesterly flow, it's going to keep us at about 31, so note there will be a chill, keeping feel like temperatures into the teens and 20s. So that's the number you want to dress for, especially with the lack of sunshine. We'll look at across much of the area. We have anywhere from those upper 20s there, closer to the Finger Lakes, to those 30s here across the border line. Now, as we head into Saturday's forecast, with some clearing potential and still that cold air advection in place, we drop into the teens. So this will be the coldest morning of the weekend. So grab something warm to drink, some hot cocoa, some coffee to get the day started, and then we'll head into Saturday battling areas of cloud cover, as well as watching that system slide on through. Now, temperatures are just around that freezing mark, so might get a little bit of a wintry mix as that system slides on through. It is pretty weak. We're not going to look at big numbers to come from that system. We'll get a little break and some return to some warmth on Sunday, but the next week we are going to be battling more of these warm but cold systems that will give us times of rain and snowfall as we look to keep those temperatures hovering just around the lower 40s.
Tesla will reopen shop in California. JP Morgan is looking to crack down on its employees using ChatGPT, and the return to the office is meaning squeezing into smaller spaces for some tech workers. CJ Papa has those stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
Tesla's going back to Cali. CEO Elon Musk announcing the company's global engineering headquarters will be returning to the Golden State. The move comes 2 years after the company's exit from California in favor of Texas. Tesla's corporate HQ will stay in Austin. NASA unveiling a $3.5 billion plan to redesign its aging spacesuits. The new gear is more comfortable and flexible for astronauts who have been wearing suits designed in the 1970s. The company says the new suits are custom-made so humans can live, work, and play while aboard the International Space Station. JP Morgan is the latest company to restrict employees from using ChatGPT. No particular incident was mentioned, and it's not clear how many employees were using the chatbot or what functions they possibly were using it for. The software learns how to write by scanning millions of pages of existing text. Many worry it could replace humans in the workforce. And Google is asking some employees to share desks as it downsizes its office space and remote workers return to the workplace. The tech giant is encouraging cloud employees to alternate days with future desk mates to avoid overlap. The new model will apply to Google's 5 largest locations. That's business. I'm CJ Papa.
Pilots for FedEx are moving closer to a strike. Labor talks have stalled. The union representing FedEx pilots has approved a strike authorization vote, although a date for that vote has not been specified. It's the latest sign that a major rift between the union and FedEx management has not been solved. That's despite almost 6 months of oversight by a federal mediator. The union said no new talks have been scheduled between the two sides. FedEx says a potential strike vote has no impact on its service, and the company says it's, quote, still in productive negotiations with its pilots. NPR is announcing layoffs as ad revenue falls. It's cutting about 10% of its current staff. It will also stop filling most vacant positions as it deals with a $30 million revenue shortfall. The drop in ad dollars hammered NPR's podcast division, which is home to shows such as All Things Considered and Fresh Air. Those cuts will impact about 100 employees. More colleges say they're quitting the U.S. News rankings. They say the rankings formula discouraged them from admitting promising graduates of less prestigious colleges who had not performed as well on entrance tests as applicants from top schools, and that they were penalized in the rankings when their graduates chose careers in public service over more lucrative options. Harvard recently became one of more than a dozen medical schools and more than 40 law schools ranked by U.S. News who've said they will no longer provide information to the outlet, which has ranked colleges and graduate programs since 1983. Still ahead, millennials are making room for mom and dad. New data shows more parents are moving in with their adult children. We have the story coming up. Here's an interesting twist. It's not just millennials moving back in with their parents. New data reveals more parents are moving in with their adult children. Madison Allworth has the story.
It's not just millennials moving back in with parents. New data reveals more parents are moving in with their adult children. 40% of those in multi-generational homes cite financials as the reason for cohabitating, followed by caregiving and then prior arrangements. Okay, so financials pushing people to all cram in, but then of course there are those other benefits. More family time, access to grandma's cooking. My grandma came and lived with us every summer growing up to escape that Florida heat, but also to provide her grandchildren delicious mashed potatoes. But for this group, this isn't just a summer thing. This is a permanent thing. The percentage of people buying multi-generational homes hit 14% last year. That is up from 11% the year before, according to the National Association of Realtors. Now, of course, not everyone is buying a home. Lots of people, in fact, moving into existing homes, especially considering the higher interest rates and expensive housing market, pushing home sales down for the 12th month in a row. And I would be ignoring the elephant in the room if I didn't point out that the majority of multi-generational homes with my fellow millennials are from those millennials looking for help from mom and dad. At this point, 1 in 4 millennials live at home. Yikes. But hey, look at this. Of that group, 9% are actually the breadwinners, taking care of the home. I mean, listen, it would be nice to split mortgage or rent with a couple of people.
Having a subscription for music, food, or medicine can certainly be helpful, but having too many subscriptions can really start to add up. Stephanie Bertini reports.
Subscriptions.
Way too many. Yeah, especially with the price of all of them too. It's too much for anybody to have them all.
Individually, the prices may seem modest, but once you add it all together, it can be a hefty chunk out of the monthly budget. And keeping track can be an issue too. Some of you might not even know how many subscriptions you actually have.
I find more that I don't know what my kids subscribe to, and then I'm paying for it.
These two women own a handbag business together, and they say while it can be excessive, subscriptions can make life easier.
We're working mothers. So like we're life on the fly. That's exactly what we do. We're like always boom, 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 boom. It's like sometimes it's like, yeah, it's not the perfect thing. You get your credit card bill and then you change it.
But how much is too much?
Streaming, for example, there are so many different options from Netflix to Amazon and so on. BMW thinking about subscriptions for their cars. You have that. You have subscriptions for food delivery. You have subscriptions for Uber if you want one. I think there's just too many of them.
Raguru Mayangar is a professor of marketing at the University of Pennsylvania.
Every company wants to have some sort of endless number of transactions with customers. And what's a good way of doing that? Get them on subscriptions.
And even if you find you might want to thin out the subscriptions you pay for, there might be one or a few you just can't live without.
Apple Music, definitely. Netflix, Hulu.
Mostly HBO Max. That's my go-to.
We'll be back with more right after this. We want to leave you with a smile. A cafe that looks like a construction site and it sells cake that looks like bricks is all the rage in Seoul. What was supposed to be a showroom under construction ended up as a popular pop-up among South Koreans. The cafe serves coffee and baked goods to those who want their caffeine high in a unique construction setting. The shop, called Area 092, will only be open for 92 days, hence the name. After that, construction will restart for the showroom. I'm Scott Beadle. Thanks so much for watching.